Hello, welcome to the Tabletop Times. I'm Devin.
And I'm Kim.
And today we're going to be talking about our experience at Gen Con Gen Con 2023, just last month.
Yeah, so it's been about a month. We took a little bit of a break after that because I got my wisdom teeth out, so that was not fun, but took a few weeks to recover, but here we are.
Yep, so a little late, but we felt like we wanted to go over everything we saw and did while we were at Gen Con.
Yeah, so we're going to start off with, we went to the full 4 days of Gen Con this year. Our second time doing so. Last year we also did. And it is our third year. It was our third year going to Gen Con.
Yes, we went once before COVID.
Yeah, and then last year, 2022.
Year, yeah.
Yeah. So, it was great. A lot more crowded than
it
last
was
year.
Extremely crowded. The
Yes.
vendor hall was packed on Thursday. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was a little overwhelming, I guess.
Definitely.
Yeah, because last year wasn't that many people, and it was easier to move around. This year it felt like you couldn't really move that.
There were a few spots that I was walking forward, and then the crowd in that aisle just stopped because they were stopping to look at something. And I thought, oh, I'll turn around and go around. Then I looked behind me, and the whole...
You couldn't.
The line behind me, yeah, was completely stopped too. I was like, well, I guess I'll just wait here in the middle of these two lines until there's some clearance. So it got a little rough a couple of times.
Yeah, but overall, I think I had a great time. I just like, trying out new games.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That was just the vendor hall.
Mm-hmm.
There is the exhibit hall. There's the main hallways that have rooms dedicated to certain games and publishers, and those were not nearly as packed. It was packed in the vendor hall, but the second I went out into the exhibition area where people had
Like the demo halls.
yeah,
and
the
stuff.
demo hall and stuff, and then I was walking there, I was like, oh, there's a lot of breathing room here, so that wasn't as bad at all. That was nice.
Yeah. I think so. To start off with, since we went the whole time, last year we went the whole time, but the first year we only went for 2 days.
To play Warhammer Underworlds.
Yeah.
And that was it. We barely even actually attended Gen Con. We just played a tournament.
Yeah.
And that was it.
And that was before I feel like we were really into board games, at least as much as we are now. We played like Red Dragon and Mysterium, more like party games. But yeah, definitely since that was 2019, we definitely have gotten way more into it. So we'll start off with just the things we did. I know we did quite a bit of tournaments. I know you signed up for a lot more than me.
Yeah, so both of us did do the Everdell 5th anniversary Tournament of Champions Grand Tournament. I forget what it was called, but we did the 5th anniversary tournament for Everdell, and that was a blast. It was just nice to play Everdell with a bunch of people that knew how to play Everdell, because usually we're used to either playing with 2 players or playing in a group, but it's the rest of the group's first time playing a board game, that board game, I should say. So rolling up to the Everdell tournament and then everyone already knowing how to play the game, it's like, oh, this is great. It's just a game of Everdell that's really solid because everyone already knows what they're doing. So we had a really good time at that. Kim got eliminated in the first round.
I did. I had a great time though. Like he said, I feel like, yeah, we're usually the ones teaching Everdell, so it's great to play with other people. Like, I love teaching it, don't get me wrong. I love playing it at any point. But yeah, playing a game with 1 or 2 or, other players or 3. I mean, first round was, I think, games of 3. I don't know if
it was games 3 and 4, but
Okay.
we, I think the 2 tables we were in were 3-player tables because they just didn't fill out.
Mm-hmm.
But
it was over 100 people signed up, so that was pretty great. That was pretty great to see. It was in one of the clubhouse lounges or whatever in the stadium.
Felt very classy.
It really did. It was fun. Yeah, so I got eliminated in the first round, and Devin made it to the second round.
Woohoo, round 2.
Yeah,
But then I got eliminated.
I mean, there were only 3 rounds, so
Yeah.
and actually, the guy that I lost to at my table, actually Devin lost to at his table and ended up winning.
Yeah, he was one of the. Well, it was 2 winners for the
Yes.
entire tournament, right? They had a pair of winners.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was one of the 2 final winners. It was like, dang, all right, that's pretty cool. So that was neat.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, had a great time at the Everdell tournament. The designers were there too. That was neat.
That was
that was honestly like one of the coolest things. They were there like being like tournament judges and watching people play. That was a lot of fun.
What else? We both did the Acropolis tournament. We both lost.
We both lost that. That was fun though. It was a quick, early, like it was a morning tournament. It was nice. It was cool. Everyone just sat down, played quick games of Acropolis, which is, if you don't know, it is a like tile placement game, and it's tile drafting, tile placement, but it's very fast, and it's just you trying to collect sets of tiles and orient them the best for scoring. So it was a fun game though. We had a good time at that tournament. It was quick. We played in a Sagrada mini tournament.
I played in it twice.
Kim played in it twice. I played in it once, but that was a good time. It was kind of like it was special for Gen Con 2023, and they gave out promos afterwards, so you could play this tournament style at home. It was essentially, you would play through the 3 expansions of Sagrada.
Yes.
But like, it wasn't like a full expansion. It was pieces of each expansion in each of these like series of 3 games, and then you'd take the best overall score, if I'm not mistaken. So I had a really good time playing the Sagrada tournament, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm glad we got the promo, because it does make like for like a nice game night. It doesn't take ages. It takes maybe like, what would you say, 2 hours?
Probably playing all 3 games.
Yeah. So I think that'd be a cool way to like schedule a game with your friends. Be like, oh, you guys want to play like a Sagrada tournament? Because it's just a 4-player tournament. It's not like you set up. It's you play 1 copy of Sagrada and that's it.
Yeah, it was really cool too, because I felt like I had never played the expansions. I mean, you hadn't either.
Yeah, same, yeah.
So I was at first really intimidated, because I was like, oh no, I haven't played any of these before.
And this tournament's just the expansions.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that, but I had a great time, and hey, we didn't learn the entire expansion, but we learned the gist of it.
There was like the main parts of the expansion. So they did a good job teaching. Essentially, like the organizers had to teach Sagrada enough that everyone could play all of these expansions and get through this event. So it was really nice. They did a great job teaching it. It was good. Kim did not, but I went to the Super Show card game tournament.
I should have gone.
Kim should have gone.
Because we got into Super Show at Origins in Columbus in June. And I had been looking at it. Had we been looking at it? I feel like we had.
We'd been looking at it for a while, just because last Gen Con, I played the Warcry tournament, and I was having a good time playing Warcry, and then the table next to us was set up playing Super Show. I didn't really know what it was at the time. All I heard was I was in the middle of my Warcry tournament doing serious little plastic miniature moving, and all I hear is, "This match is scheduled for 1 fall!" And I looked over, and it was this huge crowd, and they had like a championship belt. I was like, what is going on over there? So then we started looking into Super Show, which is a wrestling card game, in case that was not clear. It is a wrestling trading card game.
And that is something to note, that we are both, at least I am, I guess I can't speak for you, but I am very into wrestling at this for the past couple years. It just came out of nowhere, and yeah, so playing Super Show, it fits right in with my, I don't know, interests.
Yeah, it's a very
board games and wrestling, so there we go.
It's a very light collectible card game.
It really
like, it's not like you're just deck construction and things like that, but it's light. It's light and it's fun. It's supposed to just be exciting, and I'm gonna be honest, half the appeal of that game is the way that the event organizers really handle like the mood of the event, because there's a lot of energy there, and it's a good time. It's a great time to just hang out in that area.
It really is. I was just hanging out there while he was playing, and I don't know, everyone seemed really nice, and it seemed really cool. So I'm really looking forward to playing in tournaments.
The community, yeah, that's a good point that Kim brings up. Like the community, like every time I was playing against someone, those were some of the friendliest people I've played with in like an event. I was like, these people are amazing. This is great. So they were so friendly. That was such a fun time. So I did that. And the last thing we did not do, but I want to bring it up, when we were first signing up for Gen Con events, there were Dune Imperium and Great Western Trail tournaments. And I mean, they looked like serious business. And we love those 2 games, so we tried to sign up for both. And we had them on our wish list, and it just did not happen. It was like, no, those are completely sold out. Dune Imperium had like 100 slots.
It had a lot, yeah.
And it was sold out immediately. I could not believe it. Oh, man. I wanted to do it, but I was also a little afraid, because I think the people that are doing like tournament Dune Imperium are like, they're like probably like statisticians or something. They're probably really hardcore, but
Yeah,
it seemed like it'd be fun.
I wanted to do the Great Western Trail tournament. I wasn't sure about the Dune Imperium tournament just because of that. I had seen a few like
the competitive play videos online, and it's like, oh, they're doing like really hardcore analysis.
And I was like, I don't know. I love Dune Imperium. It's one of my favorite games, but I feel like at that
got a little intimidated. Yeah, that's fair.
But Great Western Trail, definitely. I want to try to get in next year. We'll see what happens. I know at Origins, that's also a...
Oh, yeah, because the Train Game Association's there, right? And that's the one that was hosting the Great Western Trail.
I believe it was at Gen Con as well. So, yeah. So I want to try to do that one next year. But, yeah. We also did a lot of learn to plays.
We absolutely did, and it was pretty awesome. We saw some cool stuff there.
Yeah, so our first learn to play that we did was actually 9 a.m. Thursday morning. We did Tokaido Duo, and that was really fun.
I'm gonna be honest. After we played like 2 rounds of it, all right, we finished the full game.
A full game.
I can't remember when I made the decision, but definitely by the time we finished that first game, I went over to the person that was doing like the event organization, and I asked them, hey, do you guys sell this in this room, or do I need to go to the booth? Because like I'm ready to buy it right now. And she said, oh, I'm sorry, this isn't out like for a while. I was like, oh man, because I was completely sold on it. After that first game, I was like, oh, this is perfect for 2 people. It's so much fun.
Something to note, we haven't played regular Tokaido yet.
Yes.
We own it. We've kind of demoed it a little bit.
We demoed it a very long time ago, and I mean, by demo, we took it out of the box and like tried to flip through the rule book, and we were like, we're here for 20 minutes. We need to not try to learn how to play this.
Another thing.
I think we were just killing time in the store for a second while we were doing something else, weren't we?
I needed a film, so yeah.
That's what it was. We were just hanging out.
Yeah, so I wouldn't even say we like demoed it. Yeah, we just looked at it.
We looked at the components.
Yeah. But yeah, we have it. We haven't gotten into it yet, but I definitely think Tokaido Duo for 2 players.
Oh, it was
I think
so
that's
much
gonna
fun.
be the way.
It was easy to learn, easy to play. A fair amount of strategy in it. It was pretty cool. It was cool.
Yeah, so looking forward to picking that up when it comes out. Another 2-player exclusive game that we tried out a fair amount of 2-player.
Yeah, we did. We're a 2-player group. What can I say?
Yeah,
you know?
We do have a lot of games that work with higher player accounts, but also
we have like a shelf of dedicated 2-player games.
We do, but also when we buy games in general, we try to look to make sure that they're good at 2, and then also do they have the capability of playing higher player counts? Because if it's both, then
they're perfect.
Yes.
But sometimes it's like this game is for 3 players and up, and we're like, we have to really strongly consider that because we're not going to play it most of the time at that point.
Yeah, but Sky Team. Yes, that was really fun. We actually ended up picking that one up. Sky Team is a cooperative game where
you try to land the airplane. Essentially, one of you is pilot, one of you is co-pilot, and you work together.
But you can't talk.
You can't talk, and you have a little screen. So it's a dice placement game. Mm-hmm. You have a central board that represents the plane and different actions that need to be taken to land the plane, like, and initiate the landing gear, manipulate the wings, manipulate speed, that sort of thing. Clear the runway by redirecting air traffic, that kind of stuff. But you have to roll your dice secretly because you have a screen that blocks it, and then you and your partner will place the dice while just, I guess, really intensely looking at each other and being like, please, you have to believe if I'm putting this 5 on speed, you need to do something about this. You've got to help us here. And you just like hope that they understand what your action is doing. But at the same time, you don't know what their results are. So you're just hoping that whatever they have, they can adjust based on what you've just placed.
Yeah.
It's a fun game though.
It's really fun. We only played at the demo. We got through the first scenario, which I believe is just the Montreal airport. And there are there's 21 different scenarios. And I don't know, I'm really looking forward to digging into it.
I thought it had a lot of depth, even just in the initial scenario. I was like, these are some solid mechanism. This is great. Like, I could see us replaying this, and then I flipped to, like, because it has this first scenario in a separate part of the rulebook, and it was like, oh, once you've played that, read the rest. And I looked at that, I was like, oh my goodness, there's so many extra mechanics, and they're, like, different per scenario. There's a lot of different ways to, like, the game gets adjusted from scenario to scenario. It seems really, really cool.
It really, really does. So we're really looking forward to getting into that. Another game that we got to demo was Overboss Duel, and we actually also picked that one up. We
own Overboss.
We do own Overboss. I really like Overboss. I think I like it more than Devin does.
Yes, that is true.
But he really liked Overboss Duel.
I greatly prefer Overboss Duel. I feel like there's a lot more going on in it.
I'm not sure if I'm there yet, but I really liked it, and it can also be an expansion for Overboss, which I thought was really cool.
Yes, you can like intermix the tiles that are in each of them and just be like, oh, we're going to use this, but play it 2-player exclusive or whatever. But the reason I like Overboss Duel more than Overboss is there's player interactivity. Yes. Overboss is very much, oh, you draft tiles, you place tiles and little tokens, but it's in your own little player area. In Duel, you have your own. There is one board that is split in half down the middle, and it's like, oh, one half is yours, one half is your opponent's. But since it's technically one board, tiles will get moved, flipped, tokens will get switched, and it's like you'll be sliding them across to your opponent or back to you. You'll be trying to like you'll set up like a hero to kind of wipe out all their monsters, but then maybe they'll push the hero's tiles so they end up next to your monsters. There's player interactivity in the Duel version that is absent in the base version.
There's definitely a lot of player interaction.
I think it's better. Anyway.
Wow. The last Learn to Play that we did officially, like as a ticketed event, was Kutna Hora. We actually already played through it, not all the way, but played most of it
at Origins.
Yeah. It was great both times.
Kutna Hora, I can't exactly describe there's a lot of mechanics. But the one that stands out, because it's like there's city building, which is represented mostly by tile placement and trying to get like adjacency bonuses. Then you have goal, like there's public goals. There's a personal board that has economy and different tracks to move up. There's action selection in your cards. There's a sort of like path building thing with the mining zone of the board. There's a lot of different mechanics, but the one that shines is the economy simulation, using this set of like notched sliders and a deck of cards. I can't even begin to explain it, but it tries very hard to emulate a supply and demand sort of effect. So it's like once you mine a lot, there's a lot of supply but not as much demand, so coal becomes cheap. But maybe if you build a bunch of smithies before you've mined a lot, coal suddenly, it's needed very badly. Supply is very high, and demand is very high, and there's no supply, so suddenly the price is high for coal. And then maybe somebody has a building in their hand that requires coal to build, and they're like, oh no, the price just tripled for this building. Yeah. So it's this interesting game where you're trying to build stuff, but you're trying to do it when it's most economically viable for you specifically, not necessarily the other players. So it's this interesting economy manipulation game that I love that mechanism. It's so well implemented in it.
No, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to when it releases.
Absolutely.
I believe it comes out at Essen. Yes, so really looking forward. It's a Czech game.
Yeah, Czech Games Edition. We didn't mention that. It is Czech Games Edition. One thing that it's using, which I think is neat, is they're using a material for the pieces called rewood, which is recycled wood material instead of just like plastics or anything. So I thought that was really cool for them. Cool. And they're like, it's different than regular wood because it's still like an extrusion process. So even though it's wooden pieces, it's not just cubes. It's like finely detailed miniature pieces. But instead of it being injected plastic, it's this weird wood material. It's really neat. All
right, going back to some of like our experience, the beginning, Thursday morning after we did the Learn to Play for Tokaido Duo, that was very interesting because...
Oh, it certainly was.
Once we were done, we looked up outside of the room and we couldn't even leave if we wanted to because I wouldn't even say line to get inside.
The crowd
to get inside the vendor hall was... into the room.
It bled into the room. Yeah. Like we looked to the door to leave and there were people lined up
to leave the room
to
get into the hallway,
but they could not enter the hallway because it was too crowded. And I was like, well, I'll just sit back down.
Yeah. So I think that was our first taste of like, wow, okay, so this is like Gen Con, I guess. I don't know is that usually what it's like.
I know. I guess
know.
we've only gone like with lower
Yeah,
crowds.
I mean 2019, but we were only there for the tournament, so I can't even say what the crowd was like then. It was the line to leave the room was definitely overwhelming.
It made me think, oh no, what have we gotten ourselves into?
Yes. So, I don't know. I don't know if part of that was the Lorcana line or.
Yeah. So that was another thing, right?
Probably not. It was probably a mix. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was mostly just people excited to go in at all. I don't know if it was necessarily Lorcana, because whenever we did get in there, I made a beeline to
I sent Devin to the Stonemeyer Meeple Source booth to get the Expeditions playmat. That was what I sent him to get.
And when I was there, I mean, it wasn't like I saw no one because everyone was at the Ravensburger booth. Yeah. I mean, people were all over the place immediately. So I think people just were excited to get in there.
That's fair, yeah.
I mean, a lot of stuff did sell out immediately. That was like, oh, we only brought 10 of them for some reason, so.
Well, I mean, there's limited release, because stuff comes out at SN, stuff comes out, but I got to the Cosmos booth to pick up My Island.
Yes.
And that was my first thing I went to. I feel like I didn't run into too many people, honestly, like on my way there, but I might have been lucky.
Yeah.
I definitely ran into a lot of people after that, just trying to walk around other places, but yeah, I picked up My Island, obviously.
Yeah.
Luckily got there before they sold out for the first day. I know they had other set aside copies for like every day of the con, but yeah, really looking forward to it because I really like my city. We are slowly making our way through it.
We're just about done.
We started in 2021.
It's not that long of a game. Just so you know, it's not like this game takes 4 years to finish.
It's 24 like games, but they're about 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's not super long.
But the friends that we were playing it with moved across the country, so we are playing via Discord, and we all have a lot of things going on separately. And
yeah, real life makes scheduling difficult.
It really does. So, but really, I really enjoy My City. It's really fun, really easy polyomino game.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to getting into My Island.
Yeah, these are such a fun game, and the value in My City was always like something that blew me out of the water because it's like $35, and it's this incredibly like, it's just really, it's not like innovative necessarily, but it's really well made. It's a really well made legacy polyomino game.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for this one too. We also Kim sent me to the Meeple Source booth for Expeditions. Kim went to go pick up My Island, but then I sent Kim to the Osprey Games booth because I knew they were releasing General Orders, which is a 2-player worker placement war game, sorry. So it's from the designers of Undaunted, which we haven't played, but I know it's incredibly well received. And this just sounded really up our alley. And I will say, before it came out, in my head, I'd seen images of the box, but I'd seen just images of the box with no context. When Kim came to me with the box, I mean, this thing is maybe like 5 inches by 7 inches. It is such a tiny little box. It's
so small.
Very little. It's cute though, so I'm looking forward to it. It has a very nice art style. The mechanics sound really solid and right up our alley because it's 2 players only.
Yes.
So it's made for us. That's what it feels like.
And I know you're really into Osprey games just in general. You really like a lot of their skirmish games, skirmish books.
I do like the Osprey War Games line.
So I think it'll be, I'm not generally into war games, but this is like, I mean, I play Warcry, like miniature war games, but like not really like historical based war games.
She doesn't move Squadron B4 to Hexagon X7,
yes.
You know?
We played one that we got at Origins, and I really like it. And I was like, wow, this game is essentially just like Warhammer.
Oh, wait, what, Littoral Commander?
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
We played it, and it's like, I remember I was going through the rulebook, I was like, oh man, it's gonna be a lot. And then I got through it, and I was like, I feel like we've played this game already pretty much. And then we set it up and started playing. It's like, oh yeah, we already know these concepts.
It's just Warhammer, except it's a little easier. I think it's about, I don't know, it's not as convoluted, but at the same time kind of is.
Yeah.
But it's historical based.
Yeah, it's a historical based game instead of being like, haha, I cast lightning bolt in 3 directions. Yeah. It's like, oh, I send a drone strike in hex this and that. And it's like, okay, well, it's the same thing.
It wasn't as intimidating as I thought it would be. So yeah, General Orders, like, it's very, I don't know, I like that it's such a small box, but it seems like it packs like a punch in it, you know?
Yeah,
And
I'm
I think
super
that's-
looking forward to playing this.
Yeah, we'll definitely have something up fairly soon about it.
Yeah. I also went ahead and picked up, we went to an area we went to at Gen Con that I feel like a lot of people forget to go check it out. There's a place called Entrepreneur Alley. And on top of that, there's other places in Gen Con doing the same thing, but this is like a nice central location in the vendor hall with a lot of very independent developers and designers showing off their games. So one of the things we went to go see on the topic of war games was Legacy's Allure, which is a card-based war game. It uses a hexagon grid, and it is, you build your forces where instead of miniatures, they're represented by cards, and there's no luck involved. It's all deterministic, which some people might be like, oh, that's a complete turnoff, but it's more of, you need to look at the field, look at like the abilities and the stats of every model, or every card, I should say, and you take your turn, hoping that you know exactly what your opponent's going to do. That way you know what to do next. And it's seems like a really cool game.
And there's no dice, right?
There's no dice. It's legit. It's just combat's resolved by just like comparing numbers. Abilities, they just happen. And
Devin, something you will come to find out, if you don't already know, Devin is very into card-based
war games.
Yeah.
I keep buying the same game over and over.
He has looked at Legacy's Allure for a while, though. I feel like at Origins.
Yeah, I checked it out at Origins and thought it looked really good, but then I didn't pick it up. So this time I was like, forget it. I'm just going to buy it because it looks really nice. So looking forward to trying this out. It looks like a good time. We also picked up 2 games from Ice Makes. One game we picked up in Entrepreneur Alley at their booth, but the other game we actually picked up at the North Star Games booth.
Yes.
And yeah, go ahead.
I was really looking forward to it. I had seen it, some stuff about it on BGG and other places. But Eila and Something Shiny, which is a solo game, and it's a story-driven adventure game. And I have really gotten into solo gaming recently. And once I found out about this, and I know there's like an original Kickstarter with Ice Makes, and then North Star picked it up, and they're releasing it now, retail. And it's just a really fun game. The art is cute, I think, and I'm not really usually into like story driven games. It's
very story driven. When Kim says like story adventure game, she doesn't mean like a dungeon crawl.
No,
it is like story cards and like challenges get revealed and you have to manage resources, but you're not like moving on a grid or anything.
Yeah, so it is. Yeah, it's cards. It's a really neat way to deal. I don't know if I've ever played a game that does this, but I don't play a lot of story games, so I mean that could also be the thing. But I really enjoy it. There are multiple endings to the stories. There are, I believe there are 5 chapters, not including the session 0. That's kind of just teaching you the game. I have 1 chapter left, and I'm really looking forward to getting to it. I really enjoy my time like playing this game, and I think I'll play through it again just to see what other endings I get. And I think I'm gonna make Devin play through it too.
I've heard it has like good replayability, and it's not just a story. Like you can lose, as Kim mentioned. It's like there's challenge to the game where it's like you have to end like this adventure with this many resources of a certain type, and you're like, oh man, this is difficult. Like I watched Kim play, and it's like you have to be smart with your choices or you'll end up like, well, lost, have to start over.
There is a lot of resource management and things that you have to do.
Very
and
challenging,
I feel like
resource management.
Sometimes if you do one thing wrong, then it can affect you later.
Spiral out of control.
Yeah. But it's a really fun game. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to finishing it.
The other game we picked up by Ice Makes is Age of Civilization. I'll admit we don't know too much about this one, but from what it looks like, it is a very, very small box also. This thing is maybe...
It fits in Devin's hand.
Yeah, it fits in the palm of my hand, effectively. Well, maybe not the palm. Fits in my hand. And it is supposed to be a Civ game that plays in, like half an hour, maybe?
Yeah,
it's
30
supposed
minutes.
to be, it's a half an hour civilization game. I don't know if it's like really, really a Civ game, but the way the mechanics play, it seems really cool. There's like rotating abilities and actions that they'll be lined up in a tableau, and you can be like, oh, I know in 3 turns I'll be able to do that action, so I need to pre-plan for that on what I'm doing this turn. It seems like a really fun game. It's also by Ice Makes, and we're looking forward to trying this because it's short. So it'll be a nice little game to pick up and play on weeknights, hopefully.
Another game. We picked up quite a few games.
We're only talking about a handful
here. We're only
here.
Spotlighting a few. If you want to see our entire haul, check out our Instagram.
Yes.
Which we'll have linked in the comments and everything. But we picked up Sagrada Artisans. We didn't back it on Kickstarter, but we picked it up at the con, and we are playing through it. I think we're about halfway through it.
We're a good chunk of the way through.
Really enjoying it so far. There are a few things that
I've had some difficulties being colorblind a little.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think it's a cute implementation of Sagrada.
This is if you like Sagrada and you are like, maybe you've played Sagrada a lot and you feel like you've got it figured out, but you'd like that kind of game again, you should probably play Artisans, because man, this has been a challenge. The first window is kind of teaching you like the concepts of this version of Sagrada, but once you get past that first window, it just goes to another level and it does not stop. It ramps up the challenge every single game. It's been awesome.
Yeah, and we're gonna finish it here probably pretty soon, so we'll probably do a write-up on it.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out for that.
One other thing we picked up, we're not speaking of it now, but we were speaking of solo games. I picked up Star Trek Adventures Captain's Log. Now, we already own Star Trek Adventures. That is a role-playing game by Modifius. This is Captain's Log, is a solo RPG using the Star Trek Adventures mechanics. So, with all the kind of solo stuff we've been trying to get more into, I've been doing some solo skirmish games like 5 Parsecs from Home. I thought, why not? I've never tried a solo RPG. So I thought I'd pick this up. I also picked up their solo Game Master's Guide, but I really want to get this, I was going to say to the table, but to my desk. I don't know how it works. It's really interesting. So this is going to be a really different experience to try and do a solo role-playing game.
Because, hey, we own a lot of RPG books, but
we don't play them.
Getting them to the table, because just scheduling with everyone, everyone has things going on. We have things going on. It's just, but hey, a solo RPG?
Yeah.
Hey.
And I'm hoping, like, maybe if I get some experience with the Captain's Log RPG, I can use, like, the principles from the solo GM's handbook in this, and maybe I can play some of the other solo. That way I can
definitely
figure out if I like these games. We have a lot.
We do have a lot. So yeah, that's actually a pretty cool purchase. I know when that was announced, I
was so excited because we've played Star Trek Adventures. That's one of the RPGs we actually own and play.
Very fun game.
It's so much fun. I love the 2D20 system from Modifius. Yes. It's a super fun cinematic mechanic. It's a lot of fun. So this solo one, they were like, "Oh, you can play it by yourself." I was like, "Oh my goodness!" I got so excited. I almost pre-ordered it. So with that, I think we're pretty much wrapped up for this episode. Mm-hmm. Our inaugural episode of the Tabletop Times podcast. Woo!
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Will also be on YouTube. So
yes,
not a video per se, but just the
audio will be there.
Yeah.
So with that, thank you for listening. If you want to know more about what we review, what we've been playing, you can check us out on Board Game Geek. We have a blog there. We're on Instagram as TheTabletopTimes 619. We're on Threads. I think that's the same username as Instagram. I'd forget.
All of these links will be in the
comments or description. Yeah. We're on Facebook. Is that everything? We're on a lot of social media, so check us out: Instagram, Facebook, Threads, YouTube, Board Game Geek. We're on a lot of different places. And thank you again.